So Israel has thrown around some ideas. One of the ideas is to push all of the Gazans into Egypt. That has been one of the ideas that's been tossed around. Or it's been even discussed, especially here in the United States, questions about, well, why don't other countries, other Arab nations take these Palestinian people? You know, they should immigrate to Jordan or Lebanon or wherever, Syria. Question is, for many of the Gazans, there are many of them have family members in the West Bank. Has Israel allowed for any of the family members trapped in Gaza to leave and to go stay with their family members in the West Bank or in Jerusalem?
Of course not. Gaza has been under military siege since 17 years. And although we are one country and one people, Israel has restricted most of the people of Gaza from coming to the West Bank, and they've restricted us from going to Gaza. I am a medical doctor, and we run a huge medical operation in Gaza. Each time I needed to go to Gaza, I had to travel to Jordan and then fly to Egypt and then cross Sinai to get to Gaza. 2 days trip, very costly, instead of 2 hours drive, which I used to do before Israelis imposed this terrible sanction, this terrible siege. And even patients who needed treatment in the West Bank that is not available in Gaza because of 17 years of siege and closure, 40% of these patients were not allowed to travel to the West Bank, even if they had cancer or serious heart diseases. I know of a child from Masri family who was 18 months old, and she needed urgently a heart operation. And they wouldn't let her come to the West Bank for several weeks till she died. So that is the situation. Now, why would anybody in the world, anybody that respects the basics of human rights, would accept the ethnic cleansing of a whole population from Gaza? These 2.3 million people are people who live in their country, in their homeland, in Palestine. And by the way, 70% of them have already been ethnically cleansed by Israel in 1948, when Israel committed 50 massacres, like the massacres they are doing now in Gaza, and erased to the ground 520 Palestinian communities. Many people in the world don't know that. That's how Israel was established in 1948 as a settler colonial structure. And these people were evicted to Gaza. Now they want to evict them out of Gaza. That is ethnic cleansing, and it should not be acceptable by anybody. Why should Egypt allow an ethnic cleansing? Why should they participate in that? If Israel really cares about the people, let them go back to the same communities that Israel erased in 1948 in Palestine itself. Why should they be evicted to another country? Why should they be in tents in the desert of Sinai, suffering from all kinds of horrible humiliation? We cannot be humiliated one more time. It's unacceptable. And Israel is trying to achieve that by bombarding Gaza in the most horrible way. You know, up till now, Israel conducted more than 11,000 airstrikes on Gaza in less than 2 months. And they have thrown on Gaza no less than 45,000 tons of explosives. That is bigger than the 2 nuclear bombs that were thrown in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War. It's like 17 kilograms of dynamite thrown on people for each man, woman, or child.
So obviously Israel's excuse, and Israel's excuse has been for the last 75 years, that this is a matter of national security, that it's about, well, if the Palestinians would just stop attacking us, if the Palestinians would just stop fighting, if they would stop bombing us, stop sending rockets over the wall, or right now it's about Hamas. It's about we have to stop Hamas. What is your reaction to that, to that idea?
Very simple. Nobody will resist if we are not under occupation. If you establish an occupation and impose it on people, depriving them from all their rights, if you steal their land, deprive them from the ability of farming their own lands, if you steal their jobs, if you don't allow them to live in a normal manner and continue to arrest them and put them in jail in horrible conditions, of course people will resist. That's normal. 40 years ago, there was no Hamas. 35 years ago, there was no Hamas. But there was occupation. And at that time, they accused Fatah of being a terrorist organization and the PLO as well, only because people were resisting the injustice of occupation.
Yeah.
Would you have told the people of France that was under Nazi occupation that they don't have the right to resist occupation? So the question here is, which standards are followed? Is there a global and universal human rights record and human rights international law? Or there is one for white people and another one for not the so white people? These are expressions of people who are carrying an ideology of white supremacy, who look at Palestinians in a racist manner, and who are supporting Israel regardless of what it does, allowing it to be above the law and above international law and impunitive to international law. Israel is practicing occupation for 56 years. They have practiced ethnic cleansing against us since 75 years. They transformed the system of occupation into a system of apartheid much worse than what prevailed in South Africa. And now they are conducting at the same time 3 parallel war crimes: ethnic cleansing, collective punishment, and genocide. No country in the world was ever allowed to do all of that and be still impunitive to international law. I am not advocating violence. I am known so well for being the most advocate of non-violence in Palestine. I don't want any Israeli or Palestinian to be killed. But if I care about the killing of 32 Israeli children, I should also care, and you should also care, about the killing of 9,000 Palestinian children. It is unacceptable to say that the Israeli blood is holy, but the Palestinian blood is worth nothing. That is unacceptable. This is racial discrimination, and it should not be allowed.
Yeah. They claim, well, it's because we're at war and we're at war with Hamas. And you're right. Hamas has only existed for a blip of time, really, in the entirety of the resistance, of the occupation since the creation of the nation, and even prior to that, the Zionist movement in general. Hamas has only been here for just a short period of time. What do you think the solution is? And by the way, it's convenient for them to just say, well, we're fighting Hamas. Well, we're fighting Hamas. And I've pointed out, okay,
because
well,
they use Islamophobia, of course.
Right, and you're right. It's before Hamas. There was Arafat. I mean, they're going after anybody and everybody. They don't care. They don't like anybody who has an idea of resistance or has an idea resisting occupation, whether it even be peaceful. There's even a push against that, which we saw
exactly.
with
If I might say, they're against our right of resisting in any form, and they have boxes to put people in always. If you fight in a military manner, I mean, if you use armed resistance, they call them terrorists, like they do now with Hamas. If you use non-violent resistance, like I do, they call us violent, and they use against us terrible amount of force. If you use only words and only speak against occupation, they accuse you of being a provocateur. If you are a non-Palestinian supporting Palestinian rights, you would be called anti-Semite. And if you are a Jewish person, and there are many of those who support Palestinian rights, they call them self-hating Jews.
Yeah.
This is the kind of mentality we are dealing with. And I don't know how the Israeli people feel about the fact that Israel now is in bed with the most fascist governments in the world, with the most extreme racist people in the world, like Le Pen in France and the Swedish Democratic Party in Sweden and the rest of them. This is a very indicative thing. And let me tell you, to be honest with you, I think the same mindset in the West that allowed the persecution of Jewish people in the Holocaust and was silent about the persecution of Jewish people during anti-Semitic times in Europe or in the pogroms in Russia. The same mindset, that same mindset is now silent about or is actually supporting the Holocaust of the Palestinians today. And that is not good for either Palestinian or Jewish people.
Right.
And they use the fact that Netanyahu is relieving them from the whole responsibility of all the atrocities that were practiced against Jewish people during the anti-Semitic time.
Let me tell you about tonight's sponsor, cbdistillery.com. The search for the perfect gift is over. I've got the most genius stocking stuffers for everyone on your list, and that is CBD. Who's not going to love this, from cbdistillery.com. So stuff their stockings with CBD for better sleep, or give the runner on your list the gift of less pain after exercise. And wouldn't a calmer mind this holiday season be a perfect gift for yourself? You got to treat yourself too. CB Distillery has you covered with a full range of carefully formulated CBD and plant-based solutions. CB Distillery's healing plant compounds are made with the highest quality, clean ingredients, no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives, and with over 2 million customers and a 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. So this year, give the gift of a calmer mind, better sleep, and less pain after exercise. And with code KIM, you can stuff all their stockings for 20% off. Visit cbdistillery.com and enter the code KIM for your discount. No prescription required. Again, that is cbdistillery.com. Use that promo code KIM for 20% off.